LeBron, if he went to play back there, he'd have a lot of trouble. There might not be a three-point. There wouldn't be a three-point line for a good part of it. Guys would be hammering him, but if you put Kareem here, it'd be tough for him. So it's always a little tough. But I mean, he is just one of the apex players, and he's the best player of our generation, really. And it's funny because I think that this championship, undeniably, unless you are, inhaling some bath salts, it puts him ahead of Kobe. And I don't think there's any way to debate that at this point. Like, I think that's beyond reproach that he's ascended past Kobe at this point in his career, which is kind of funny when he wins the title, for him.
Well, he never did it alone, right? You had Jordan with Pippen and Rodman, obviously, yep. And of course Horace Grant for the first three. Kobe had Shaq and Powell, and LeBron has done it with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, and now most recently Anthony Davis. And Davis, I mean, with this win, him now being an NBA champion, he is one of the most winning decorated players ever because he has an NCAA championship with Kentucky. He's got an Olympic gold medal in the same year. He was on that 2012 London team because Blake Griffin got injured. And he has a FIBA World Cup and now the NBA championship. So he's one of only a handful of players all time to ever do this. And playing in New Orleans, you never thought, because this was a stat that was talked about often, especially during the Olympics. But Anthony Davis, I never thought he'd get here. And for him to get out of New Orleans, you could always wonder what could have been if DeMarcus Cousins stayed healthy and they were in the second round a couple of years ago. He got out of there and validated why Rob Pelinka traded all of those picks and young assets for him in his first year, helping LeBron win a championship. Because one of those guys, they don't get it done without the other. LeBron has always had superstar help in the guys I just mentioned.
So right.
Anthony Davis was instrumental in this run. Even though he was a little banged up and he wasn't as much of an offensive force in the finals, he was great in the playoffs. He was still just standing there, started at the 5 in the clincher, blocked shots, rebounded, let LeBron score, facilitate the offense, give it to Markieff Morris, give it to playoff Rondo. Anthony Davis is now an NBA champion. He was getting close to that, 8, 9, 10-year NBA vet, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Damian Lillard, Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, who are never won a ring. And now Anthony Davis is on that list of champions, and they're not done. So Anthony Davis, just a remarkable playoff run in and of itself, helping the Lakers get that 17th title.
And let's really talk about how great a pairing those two are. The scary thing for the rest of the league is that if we're being really honest, if you were starting a team, Jason, you have your Nets. If you had Kyrie, Kevin Durant, and nothing else on that team, and you were looking around the league to poach players like it's an expansion draft, I don't know how many teams you're going through, but you're not picking many Lakers after LeBron and AD. You're just not. I'm sorry. Like maybe Alex Caruso does it for you. Then you say, I'll take Alex Caruso. I mean, the guys that they had on this team were reclamation projects. There's no other way to say it. I mean, Condavious Caldwell-Pope was not desired around the league. I know they paid him money, but he was not. People were not shelling out money for him. And he's on the other side of it. He's on the best side. Rondo was not wanted by anyone in the league. Dwight Howard, not wanted by anybody. JaVale McGee, he had just gone through his previous reclamation project with Golden State, who said, you know what, we're good. We don't need you anymore. I mean, this is a team full of sort of like, this is like the land of misfit toys, and they just won a title with that. I mean, Alex Caruso, I think, is a little bit better than those guys, and Danny Green had a really rough time, but he's better than that generally. But imagine if they had a real third banana here, like some of the other teams in the league. I mean, it's scary to think that they could really be better. Yeah, I don't know if Kuzma was that guy. Yeah.
No, he was not good in the playoffs. But just to kind of piggyback off what you said, these guys are still winners. Look, JaVale McGee, he's a role player, complimentary piece, if that, 3-time NBA champ. Danny Green, same as LeBron, 3 rings, 3 different teams, even though LeBron has 4. He won with the Spurs, he won with the Raptors, and now the Lakers. Rajon Rondo, one of 2 people all time to win championships with both the Celtics and the Lakers. So, and guess what, Ben? J.R. Smith now has 2 rings. J.R. Smith has 2 more rings than Carmelo Anthony. Can you believe it? Okay?
Unbelievable.
Melo, 0. J.R., 2. And I want to also give Dwight Howard credit where credit is due. This win for him And he was a replacement player for DeMarcus Cousins. Don't forget that.
That's a great point.
This solidified Dwight Howard's enshrinement in Springfield. Your home
It's true.
state, Massachusetts, Dwight Howard, Hall of Famer. He's got the
Not
ring.
my home state, but my parents' home state.
You grew up where I say you grew up, okay? You are from Kalamazoo, Michigan, like the great Derek Jeter. Now, Benjamin, we've been doing this for 3 years. May I finish my point, please, before I get more things wrong about you? Dwight Howard, as Ben stifles his laughter and went on mute. But Dwight Howard, okay, 8-time All-NBA, 8-time All-Star, NBA champion, multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year. So Dwight Howard, what he did, even kind of solidifying his commitment to the Lakers by signing a non-guaranteed deal, like he knew failed stops in Charlotte, Atlanta, Washington, Houston, coming back to the Lakers where he once was with high expectations, and he's a champion there. So this team, it was just meant to be, the Kobe thing, it was meant to happen this year. And it took a pandemic. It took a 4.5-month layoff. It took a bubble. But by God, the Lakers are NBA champions.
I think that it's going to be really interesting to see what happens this offseason, because if they retool and get another guy, they could be better next year. It's absolutely possible that they'll be better. And it's going to be interesting because these two players complement each other so well, Jason. Because LeBron and Davis, they just I think one of the things that's come out a lot recently, and it is true, I think this is the best teammate LeBron has ever had. I give him the edge over Wade. And part of that is because of how well they mesh as a tandem. Because LeBron, at this stage in his career, doesn't want to score 50 points a game. He wants to be the passer. He wants to be the facilitator. And Davis is the best lob threat in the league. He has demonstrated that he is a great player at being set up. He can hit open threes, open jumpers. He can play in the post. He is more of a play finisher, and LeBron is becoming more of an initiator. And so those two go great together. And then defensively, Anthony Davis said to the league, I am the best defensive player in the league, period, and get the hell out of my way, because I deserve that award. Because that's what he showed during these playoffs, that he can destroy you on both ends of the floor in a way that we have not seen since, I guess, Shaq. I guess Shaq is the last guy who you can say that for. I think he's more Tim Duncan than Shaq, because he's a smart defensive player. He's not someone who's blocking the shot that's going 3 rows out. He's someone who's in position. He knows how to rotate. He can play pick and roll. So all this is to say, this might not be the last championship we see of LeBron James, because there's a very good chance this team could be even better. But the elephant in the room for me, Jason, is that you have on the one hand LeBron's age. This is a guy who's going to be going to his 18th season, a little older. And Anthony Davis has had a litany of injury trouble. He had some little injuries during the finals even. This is a guy who has never played a full season in the league. Are you worried about these guys maybe running into some injury concerns down the road?
Of course I am. But look, they won. They've endeared themselves to Lakers lore and Laker history. And, let's say LeBron's going to be 36 in December. So let's say they have 2 more cracks at it, right? Davis gets a max deal to stay in LA, 2 more cracks at it. And then Davis takes over as the face of that franchise. And then LeBron at that point will likely become a free agent, sign wherever his son gets drafted, play with him his rookie year, call it a career. LeBron has nothing more to prove. He doesn't give a damn about the Jordan debate. So I think he's going to stay in LA, see how many more he can get. He's going to still try. He's LeBron James. He's going to try very hard. And then try and get maybe 1 year with his son and ride off to the sunset. I mean, someone find someone with a better life. I know he's worked very hard and he's very gifted and talented, but 4 NBA championships on top of the world, one of the most famous athletes of all time, he's calling the shots. He will determine how much longer he plays. I don't think he's going to force anything at 40 to catch Jordan. I think LeBron at maybe 25 would have had that mentality. Not 1, not 2, not 3. LeBron at 35, man, he just wants to do 2 more shots of this thing, go play with his son, call it a career.
Absolutely. So let's transition a little bit. What about the other side of this? So obviously their opponents, you know, I thought the Heat played extraordinarily well given the fact that Bam Adebayo was clearly not healthy. Just it was abundantly clear when you watch these games, he was not 100%. Goran Dragic, he misses all the games except for the last one. Wasn't healthy in this game. Butler had some tweaks, and you could see the toll that it took on Jimmy Butler. He gave everything he had in Game 5 and just had absolutely nothing left in this Game 6. He just couldn't do it, couldn't carry this team over the finish line. But on the other hand, no one outside of the direct immediate family of Miami Heat players and Pat Riley ever thought that this team was going to make the finals this year. We didn't pick them. I don't know if either one of us had them in the preseason top 4 in the East. In fact, we probably had the Bucks and the Sixers and the Celtics and maybe the Pacers and the Nets. You know, there was no way. I mean, what do you make of them, and do you think they have a chance to get back there next year?
I think they're a very good team. I'll start with that. But they did catch lightning in a bottle. You know, they didn't have to travel far to be in the bubble. They were already one of the most conditioned teams in the league by playing in Miami. The culture that Riley and Spove instilled down there, the locker room presence of Udonis Haslem, the alpha dog mentality of Jimmy Butler. And all Jimmy did was stop the conversation that he's a locker room cancer and that he's not an alpha dog in the NBA, because he's been tremendous. He showed out, and now he's in the conversation of top 10, top 15 players in the league right now. He proved us all wrong. He proved us wrong from his time in Philly and Minnesota. So I'll start there. Jimmy Butler played his heart out. He's already back in the gym. The finals ended 2 days ago. He's already working out. He's home in Miami. The bubble's gone. He's working out, trying to get this team back there. So I think it's going to be tougher because I think the East is wide open. Look, I know I'm a Homer Nets boy, but you have Durant and Irving coming back for the Nets. You have Giannis and the Bucks seeing how they retool their roster. You'll have the Celtics back, the Sixers now with Doc Rivers. You never know what Milwaukee's going to do. So they will be one of the top teams in the East, but I think in normal circumstances, they would not have been in the finals. That said, they got there. They deserve to be there. And I wonder if Dragic and Bam did not injure themselves, would this have been a more competitive series? Because they were there, right? Like, they won Game 3, they won Game 5. Game 6 was no contest. But I think one of those other games, either Games 2 or Game 4, they could have stolen, and this could have gone 7.
Right.
So they deserve to be there, but the Lakers were clearly the superior team. You said it, Ben. Butler had nothing left in the tank, but if you're the Miami Heat, you know, you have 3 rings in the last 2 decades, and you know, they are proving that they are a destination. They only have one guy. It'll be even scarier if they could get a Giannis down there, a Joel Embiid down there to play with Jimmy Butler. I think it's really scary.
I was gonna say, and this was not something we prepped for, but so I'm surprising you with this a little bit. But I'm curious what kind of lessons, because there were a few lessons I felt like I learned from this finals. One is that if anyone thought that the Warriors' reliance on shooting was an aberration, it's not. If you look at the teams that succeeded here, they largely got here because their ability to space the floor. And one of the things that you can take away from Davis is that Davis is the modern archetype of a big man. There's no one else who can do what he does, but I guarantee you a lot of teams are going to try and find that in light of this finals, a guy who can stretch the floor, be a great defensive player, and be athletic enough to finish dunks. There's just no one like that. You know, maybe, you know, I think if anything, we mentioned Kareem earlier. I think Kareem would be like, would probably have a game more like Anthony Davis's if he played today. And Tim Duncan probably too would be another guy who would probably have had more 3-point skills out beyond the arc. So I think some people are going to take that lesson. I just don't think those guys just grow on trees. There's just no one like him. Some might say, oh, well, Joel Embiid maybe. But, I mean, come on. They're not the same player. Joel Embiid is not as much of a lob threat, different player. But the shooting to me really stood out. These are two teams that have great shooting, and then they have guys who are really great facilitators who can go from scoring to facilitating very easily. And when you look at all the finalist teams, I know this sounds kind of generic, but when you look at the teams that really succeeded, They were these guys who were really good at starting and finishing plays, leading the offense.